We're back at the fourth dimension, and I've got my mum on the other end of the line again today. We're up to 3 parts to our chats, and I'm really excited about this next one. Oh, we're up to 2. We talked about 3, but we're up to 2, and I think I'll just get my camera going here. Here's Mum. How you going, Mum?
Hello, darling. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Great to see you. You're looking really well.
Well, I thought in keeping with another of your participants, I'd keep the Middle Earth um, theme well and truly alive.
With Grammy the White reappearing.
Well, when you commented last time you saw me about my hair, I thought, oh, well, between myself and Hogan, you've got a real Middle Earth thing going on there.
Yes, Grand Elf the Grey, or yeah, as he's colloquially known, has gone through a bit of a transformation recently. So he's cut off that very long white beard, and it's really short again.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, and he's arriving on my doorstep, I think, tomorrow night. So yeah.
And what? Oh, so this is his period of mourning has now come to an end?
Yes, he's definitely on track and looking forward to the future. And we've got about 4 days with him over this weekend, so really looking forward to that.
That'll be lovely. And so this is the weekend everyone congregates for the birthday.
Yeah, it's a bit of a festival. So it started yesterday, and my middle daughter, yeah, turned 22, and we went out to dinner and had a lovely night last night. And my youngest daughter is turning 19 in the very near future. So we're all coming together over the weekend and, yeah, celebrating. I think boyfriends will be around, and, yeah, Dave Hogan, he'll be around. So it should be great.
Sounds hectic.
It will be. So I thought I'd better take a day off work in preparation, so I can be ready for the onslaught. So it's a great opportunity for us to catch up.
Well, it is. Normally, I'm not used to our just sort of family catch-ups being recorded in this way. I'm more than it doesn't matter one way or the other, really. But I'm just sorting out my volume.
Yep.
Actually, I've just turned up the volume, but that turned up my background music. That won't do, will it? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, yeah, you sounded great, Mum.
I can't hear you. I think I better turn the music down.
You might have muted me or something.
No, I haven't muted you. I'll just turn that off. And that then will right. I think
There
I'm
we
right.
go. Okay, excellent. So if you got all of this rain, so basically we're waiting for what they call a rain bomb here at the moment. We've got about 100 mils, which is not much probably for you guys up that way, but it's a lot for us. So the ground's pretty hard here, and the water runs off fairly quickly, and we get flooding of our driveway and things. So is it fairly good weather up your way?
We've had more rain than perhaps in other years. I haven't actually reflected on the rain gauge chart that Popeye so assiduously keeps.
Yep.
But I can look around. So what we've got is that issue in the backyard that I believe we need to have a big machine with spikes on it go around, because it's sort of like there's some hydro something going on where everything is just sort of saturated, but it doesn't seem to be really going anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Everything's just at capacity.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's perhaps the best way to describe it. And until we can get some sort of air going on, we need a lot more consistent, just warm weather and some sunshine would help. It's been overcast for feels like months on end.
Yeah,
Not,
okay.
of course, that's an exaggeration, and it's trying to peak through now. But it is cloudy and it has been overcast, and we have had quite a lot of rain. But we're not waiting on a rain bomb that I'm aware of.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's good news. Yeah.
I judge the weather by how I feel now most of the time. I really get a sense of when it's going to bucket down. And otherwise, I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, we've had several years of out of season kind of rain and other things. So it's strange weather at the moment, but I think a lot of that moisture is moving down the coast that would normally be up sort of around southeast Queensland, northern New South Wales. It's as the climate sort of shifts, it's coming a bit further south, and we're getting a bit more rain and more
Yeah.
humidity and stuff.
I think the word shift is what I'd use as opposed to it has everything hasn't flipped on its head.
Mm,
It's just, it's just incrementally sort of doing this, like down the coast, as you say. And
yeah.
I can remember saying to you when we came here, it's interesting. We have these big low pressures and they drop rain bombs on the coast. It comes down from north. And then over the time we've been here, which is nearly 18 years, that low pressure has indeed just sort of where it likes to congregate is
Yeah.
actually a bit further south.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that, it's all the very northern rivers areas that now. I mean, they've designated Udlo as one of those sorts of
Mm,
places where it does flood, and of course, insurance. So if you're trying to buy insurance here, it'll cost you about 40 grand a year.
mm,
So, it would, on paper, it looks like it's just the shittest place to be. But as you know, and we know, and we've monitored it over a long period, and notwithstanding 100 or 500-year peaks and troughs,
mm,
um, our weather gets better, not actually worse.
mm,
You know what I
mm,
mean? We microclimate all on its own, just here at the foot of the Blackall Ranges.
mm.
And so, and it's different here to the way it is on the ranges, and even close to the coast.
Yeah.
We're quite different just in this wee spot.
Yes.
More wildlife too, as everywhere else where they can develop, they are.
Mm.
And so every jolly little critter in creation is coming to Udlo.
Well, it's a good place to build an ark if
It's
you
a
get
nice place.
flooding.
It's a nice place for them to come to. But yeah, a lot of bird song. And maybe that's part of the shifting climate is the shifting seasons and the time that they gather, the food that they have, because it's a big cycle of everything coming around and in and out. And you would
Yeah,
see it at the farm. You would see all that at the farm.
yeah, we are. We're seeing all sorts of changes, and yeah, bird life and other things are changing over time. Got a lot more kangaroos around at the moment, actually.
Right.
That
Oh,
they're breeding up, and it's probably no surprise that we're getting them at our place here because I think the neighbours are doing a sort of a population control thing. You're allowed to do that. You can get a license to cull kangaroos when they start to damage your property or compete with your stock. So I've been hearing gunshots out in the distance and trying to determine what caliber rifle they're using. My quirkiness when it comes to that, but yeah, there's definitely things changing, and yeah, one of the people I work with, a biosecurity officer, scientist who monitors these sort of things, was saying that the ocean current temperatures are warming up the further south, down along the Australian coastlines, and it's bad for some fish species, but it's really good for other fish species. So, that there might be new markets and industries that actually open up further south because of the warmer waters. While some are displaced, there's benefits to others. But we're just aren't we just like a blip on the radar when it comes to it? During the last ice age, the ice sheets covered almost all the way up to here, so the climate's always shifting.
it is. Everything is as it should be.
Yeah, yeah,
Like while everyone's consciousness gathers together and elevates itself to that elevation of state occurs in a vast number of people. Um, that's the only sort of thing that's going to change how we feel about it. Like it's going to do what it's going to do because it's in motion for so long, right? Not going to haul on the brakes right now.
yeah,
So it's how we all perceive it and respond to it, isn't it? It's
yeah,
that makes everything okay. And I'm starting with me.
yeah. It's a good move.
Everything is going to be just fine.
Look, yeah,
And you'll
like
get wet, but that's okay.
I think it takes a lot of anxiety out of it when you
Oh, yeah.
just release yourself to nature and, know that it's going to change and there's nothing we can do about it. If you feel like you're going to try and control it, it adds a whole level of pressure and
Oh,
responsibility and all sorts of things.
there's levels there we don't even want to descend to.
Mind
Because it
you,
is a descent. It's a descent into unknowingness, right?
I was joking with Roland on a chat only a few days ago about weather manipulation and doing sun dances naked and things like that and trying to control the weather.
No, it's in controlling the mindset of the people observing, witnessing stuff, It's
Yeah.
it's always, and even in a tribal instinct, everything that ever happened in our own ancient family, it's all for effect. Much of it is just for effect and to help people face uncertainty, like
Mm,
it's interesting because I've been, yes, dissolving differences
mm,
rather than highlighting them. Like what's to be
mm,
gained by highlighting how everyone is different? Because
mm,
indeed we're not.
mm,
If you really think about it. And so that anxiety that comes, and death's another one. People get anxious about death. But if you understand that it cannot be anything else,
mm,
and I have since I was very little, I think I've understood this.
mm,
It can't be anything else. I've embraced the idea, and so that allows me to live my life a lot fuller in myself because I'm not concerned about something that's yet to occur. That portal will
mm,
open in the fullness of time and I'll be diving right on in. But in the meantime, it's learning how to live in this physical world with as much happiness as I can and giving, and just staying just centered and not detached, because that would imply then that I have been attached to something.
mm,
And there's definitely, I've had to detach from lots of stuff, but it's more about a non-attachment,
mm,
rather than going, oh, I feel something, but I'm going to detach from it. I'm just not going to feel like that. So it's sort of more non-attached.
mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So
Yeah.
it's a bit about the weather, about death, about climate, and all those things that seem to be such huge issues in the minds of so many. They've been going on since time immemorial, and
Mm,
and I'm so insignificant that to imagine it's going to be any different for me is just insane. So I'm embracing that as an idea and
yeah.
going with that.
Yeah, I love the the
So
the thought.
everything's changing, isn't it? It must change. It can't do anything else. You know,
Yeah,
just by talking about someone we love and how there's change occurring. That's because there's change occurring, right?
yeah, yeah.
And
Acceptance. Yeah.
it has to be us.
Yeah, you talk about detachment really well, Mum. I'm going through my own version, and I guess over a lifetime, I'm turning 50 in a couple of months, so I've managed to build up a hell of a lot of shit. And
I don't know
I'm
why you'd be any different.
yeah. So I'm going through a serious phase of detachment from that stuff, and
Oh,
it's been really liberating
it is.
because everything uh, is carries with it an energy, and if you have it around you, the energy of what you're going to do with it in the future is all around you. So it can actually take away from the moment, having future projects, future stuff, future things to sort out, all of those things surrounding me. So it's been really liberating, yeah, kind of
Well, when your mind
minimizing.
churns like that, it's just churning all this stuff.
Yeah,
God,
yeah, yeah.
it's exhausting. I'm here to tell you. Yeah, I've got 20 years on you, so I'll just give you a little bit of unsolicited advice, okay? The sooner you can stop the churning, the more liberated you're going to become. And that's,
Yes,
where everything is easeful, And I know that some things you've got to prioritize. Oh, there's all of that. Yeah.
yeah.
but your awareness of the fact that it's occurring is it's about the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we were talking offline, Mum, about sort of people or role models in life as well, and maybe there's another word for it, mentors that we've had, and you got me thinking since we had that chat, and it's a fascinating subject because I think when I think of mentors, I think of a lot of really positive people or experiences that people have brought into my life, and but I've had just as much teaching from mentors that didn't even realize they were mentors. They were people that were making mistakes, and I remember thinking to myself along the way, I don't want to be like that. So in some strange way, mentors come in all shapes and sizes and forms. But yeah, I guess starting from the beginning, for me, mentors starts with parents, and your parents are your greatest mentors, aren't they? But there's so many others that come along the way.
Yeah, yeah. So after I suggested it as a possible topic for us, I wasn't even sure but I just allowed it to happen because when I thought about it later, I thought, now I wonder where that came from, like
Mm.
what's that about?
Yes.
And so it made me think about it, and I thought, I actually haven't used the word like I once would have for probably, I don't know, it's probably about 10 years in any actual sense. And I thought, well, why is that?
Mm.
Obviously, this is called Vishara. And so it's self-inquiry. What is going on in there that you would think such a thing?
Mm.
And and I thought about it, and I had looked at some people in my life and viewed them as mentors. And then I thought, but that's not really in the yogic world. It's not a word I've heard or is used. And I thought about it and I thought, oh, yeah, right. So for me, actually, what resonates more now is guidance. And
Mm.
there'll be other great words as well, but mentorship really attaches itself to the commercial aspects of my life. And I mean going out to work, creating things, making money, that type of thing, that commercial part, not the spiritual part or the personal or whatever. And so I thought, oh, well, I'm not in business in that way anymore, and I don't mentor anyone, and no one's really mentoring me, and that's, like giving
Mm.
me guidance in that area because it's no longer part of my day-to-day life.
Mm.
And so, guidance, I've been thinking for a day or two on guidance, and I realize that it is a more appropriate term emotionally for me and spiritually for me to use that when referring to the people I have loved and who loved me and gave me guidance
Mm.
versus someone, as you say, completely unknown who had no idea that what they were doing in that I was witnessing or observing was intended on their part to do anything to me, but in seeing it and observing it, witnessing it, it did.
Yes.
And so that's probably, well, that's not even mentorship because I think mentorship is more deliberate than that. Do you know what I mean? And so we choose to be a mentor or to provide mentoring aspects of ourselves to others, or we go and seek of someone who does do that. So we're seeking a mentor. But I've grown to love the guidance idea because it's softer for me.
Mm.
And I can remember Harry used to say, bless his heart, Om Namah Shivaya. If you don't stand up for anything, girl, if you don't stand up for something, girl, you'll fall for anything.
Mm. Yeah.
And those words can churn in your mind in every which way. And so I think a lot of it, it's so important we are mindful of the words we use. And the thing is, they're going to fall out of our mouths for good or for bad sometimes, and we just have to deal with it. But he intended that to be uplifting for me and to help me be courageous, I think, in decision making and all of that.
Mm.
But it meant every time I turned my thought to something that I thought might be important, beyond the day to day, I sort of felt like I was in a fight for it.
Mm.
Like in my subconscious mind. I've only realized this in perhaps over, well, over 70 years. But it changes how you approach things. Do you know what I mean? And you might remember, Tony, when I was rampaging around the house, I was stomping around, doing whatever, Jack Boot Annie used to call me, because everyone knew that if I was having some trouble dealing with something, I was getting it was manifesting me physically, and I would feel I was in a fight for something, you know what I mean?
I know, I used to take cover.
I rest my case. So to think, about those words, coming back to words and mentor and guidance and whatever, it's just, I really like guidance. I doubt I'll use mentor ever again in any kind of outward way, now that I've really thought about how it is for me.
Mm,
But I
mm,
think that they have played important roles in my life, all the same, the sort of commercially oriented ones, that I've met in the workplace, who taught me a lot. It was their job really to teach me. I don't
yes.
think they thought of it quite like that, but indeed it was. And
Mm,
others were very deliberate. They approached me with an idea that would benefit us both, or
yeah.
their business and my career prospects and that type of thing. And so there were a couple of those sorts of decisions made throughout
Mm,
my career that I did think about. In the beginning, I was just looking for work to make money to pay bills and stuff. Like, it was only later when I developed into, I had something to offer,
mm,
um, that I began to, I suppose the words negotiate, what. And so all the words that I've used, oh my God, to create situations,
mm,
sometimes recommended by mentors,
mm,
um, other times, I kind of felt I always needed someone, because I felt a lot of uncertainty
mm,
in my life. And I'm sure everybody does.
mm,
What we do with it is the big thing.
yes.
And I was always open to talking about what I was feeling.
Mm,
Um, it's not always possible to talk about that, because what it does, though, is it brings up stuff for other people
yeah.
you're trying to talk to, So all you end up doing is going around in bloody circles,
Yeah.
So you've got to be very selective and very discerning about the people you bring into your life,
Yes.
if it's possible to do so. I mean, you can't determine who sits next to you at a football match, but you can,
Yeah.
things that
Absolutely.
you can do, you can be more discerning. And I was not discerning. In fact, I was deliberately not discerning, because I wanted experiences, right?
Yes.
And until I realized, oh, hang on, you just actually need to just slow down a bit here and start thinking about things at a little slightly deeper level. Um, things change, and then the meaning of the words that you've been churning around start to change too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then society is changing the meaning of words. It's quite separate to what's going on in your head, and so now you've got that going on, and all over the place, everything's changing.
Yes.
The important message here is everything is either um, in a destructive mode, it's in a creation mode, or it's in a maintenance mode. And we're in just one of those cycles, It's a very broad way
Yes.
of painting it. But I just try and work out which part I'm in at any given time. And then if I'm not where I want to be, then I just set my course true north to where I want it to be,
Yeah. That makes
because I
sense.
can get off track.
Can't we all?
No, no, no. I'm sure other people don't, but I do.
I
But I
love
need lots of reminders. And that's where mentors come in too, because they hold you accountable.
yeah, it's
You know,
your father Harry, my grandfather, um with his comment about, standing for something. I think
you fall
r-
for anything.
yeah, and that really resonates with me because in my case, hearing those words inspire me to know more about everything so I can have a position on something, and stand for something. So it's kind of like a challenge to my intelligence to work out,
What?
what am I going to stand for then? Um, but I think some people don't see the challenge in that comment, and it's just easier for them to go along with their community, or whatever it might be, a religion, or um, a political idea that stand for this because we all, a family stood for it, or your friends stand for it, or something. So it's a kind of lets you off the hook if you stand for something that others are standing for. You don't even have to think about it. Um,
Oh, yes,
so,
but when you don't.
yeah, and so this is the challenge, isn't it? There's some people that stand for things that really don't have any intelligence or wisdom, because they've not thought through, the various possibilities. And but I still respect people that stand for something and know a lot about what they're talking about.
We must. It's just we need to discern in those few words how
Yes,
we're going to be in that environment of standing for something.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
Um, and some things are just no-brainers, and yet no-brainer that it is, there's whole populations that actually believe some crazy stuff that's going on out there. Um, and you think, how is that possible? Well, because they've not had the same experiences and things that I've had. They've not had the same level of education, or not educated themselves if they didn't get it in the normal way. They've not had an inquiring mind. I can't believe there's so much ignorance in
Mm,
the day and age of so much information. It's just mind-boggling.
mm,
But it's only good if you know how to discern
mm,
what's coming down the wire.
yes.
And of course, we're not meant to be able to discern until we are of an age, or not, no, we can discern long before then, but we're not, there's no expectation really from society to know too much before you reach that age of majority of 18. I think it should go back to 21 personally, but anyway. Um, I didn't when I was 18 or 16 or 17 or 18, you know what I mean? But it's only with hindsight you realize, until you just got to have as long as you can away from the big world to formulate ideas and thoughts, and how you're going to be and whatever. Um, it's not based on my experience, because of course I didn't do any of that. I was mindless as a toad for so long, and frightened and scared out of my wits for lots of reasons, and feeling uncertainty. And so
Mm.
you don't make good decisions under those sorts of um, emotional or mental clouds.
And I reckon a lot of people don't realize they're in that survival mode. They've gotten so used to getting through life in survival mode that they
Well,
aren't.
liberation seems unobtainable.
That's right.
Mm.
Yeah, but it does happen. It can happen. That you can get through the survival modes and start to get some clarity.
Well, we must,
Yeah.
otherwise it's painful, like it's, and we're back to the first quote I think I gave you: pain is the ultimate tool for shifting a belief.
Yes.
Like everything's going around in never diminishing circles in my world, because there's just a few key truths to the whole thing, like you spend all this time doing the yearning and the churning, and for what, like, is I don't know what the actual statistic is, but I think it's something horrendous, like about 87% of the thoughts you're having today are the same thoughts you had yesterday. It might even be higher. And so when you think you take up your brain's capacity with all this stuff, ruminating on the same things over and over and over, it's having the same conversations with the same people, and oh my God, is it no wonder they closed the asylums. There was no room for us all, right? It is responsible. It is our responsibility as humans to have that self-inquiry, Um, it might seem audacious to a lot of people, how give yourself a rest kind of thing, like,
mm,
uh, but indeed I found it to, I was never that way, little glimpses of it here and there, and it felt great, but I couldn't sustain the state,
mm,
just couldn't sustain it. It's called pranayama. And so we need to build up our prana in our bodies through our breathing techniques and other practices to allow us to sustain the elevated states that we seek to achieve.
mm,
But we don't really want to be like, and I was thinking about the water again, and how when I was learning to scuba dive, I was endeavoring to manage my weights. And I'm doing this business underwater, like I'm up and down, while I calibrated myself to understand what was really happening, and this is what, that was one of those just going off on a tangent thing. I lost my train of thought, but it's help me out here. Where was I?
So yeah, we're talking about getting yourself settled, with
Yes,
breathing and other things to manage situations. And the scuba experience kind
yes,
of shows you physically how to manage yourself, which then brought you back into the,
alignment and into
alignment with what you needed
buoyancy.
to do. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you. That's right. So my life has been that calibration all the time. Like, it's important we calibrate.
Mm,
When things are not going right and you find yourself in a state of just looking around you and thinking, hang on, there's just something's a bit off here. It's time
mm,
to stop.
mm,
It's
mm,
actually time to just stop and give time to the self.
mm,
Just read, write,
yeah.
um, do those very inwardly seeking activities that
Yeah.
will realign you, recalibrate, and bring you back. Like, and every time, yeah, I think about it. I think, am I breathing? And it's
Mm,
really interesting because September is our month of am I breathing? And I don't know if you noticed, but you stop breathing. People stop breathing. Like, they're just going through their life, and we're actually in the month of September, very mindful of, are we breathing? Because when you become mindful of whether or not you're breathing, you realize that half the time you're holding your breath. And and this is how people are living. They're making really important decisions. They're teetering on the edge of emotional collapse. They're
mm,
trying to make decisions, good decisions, and they want to make, like, people want to be feeling good. They don't set out to have a crap life.
mm,
They want to feel good, and we need to be able to understand from early on. And I coming back to mentors, trying to weave it back in.
mm,
If you can recognize as a young person, which is difficult and was nigh on impossible for me, but I recognize the value of it in hindsight, is if we can just get over ourselves as even young people, younger than even your children are now,
mm,
to realizing that, yes, I've got a lot of capacity, a lot of potential, but I'm actually just going to sit with it for a lot longer than I might otherwise,
mm,
and just gather around me some sage and wise people who will help to guide me through these turbulent waters. If I'd thought about it and anything like that, it's how I'd talk about it now to young people.
yeah.
But, like, turbulent waters, what?
Mm,
And you probably couldn't use that language even with young people now, but you recognize what it is when you see it, and
yes.
it's that uncertainty. It's the
Yeah.
uncertainty because we can't know everything, and we don't know everything. Even if we live to be 100, we still don't know everything.
Mm, mm,
But it's the guidance we get from ourself. And if we delve deeper into ourself, it's there because
mm,
it's actually had, dare I say it, lifetimes, many, many lifetimes to figure it out. And if we tap into it,
mm,
it will serve us again very
mm.
well.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I'm
but it's a remembering. Like it's a period of remembering, and
Yeah, and I'm really fascinated by those early years as well in terms of guidance, because I think one of the challenges in society these days is that we're not giving the young folk the rituals that cultures had for generations before us, whether the rituals were cultural or whether they were religious or a combination of both. Societies generally had rites of passage that young people, at certain ages or stages, would have opportunities to, grow in and connect with mentors and receive guidance.
Yes,
But
and nudged here and
yeah,
nudged there lovingly. And so when the family was this large, intact organism that everyone lived and breathed, that is how it happened. You didn't need a mentor because
no,
Uncle Joe and Auntie Bet and this
mm,
one and that one and the other one, they all had their role to play.
yes,
Everybody had a role to play in that, and they all came together. But as our families fragmented and everyone sought to be separate and individual,
mm,
and um,
you lose it, don't you?
yeah,
Yeah,
suddenly
yeah,
all of that infrastructure drops away. And
yes,
it's happened now over, I couldn't really say, but probably five or six, or maybe let's say as many as, yeah, six generations. What's that? About 100 years or something.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
I don't know what it is technically, but
yeah,
I've watched it and observed it in my own lifetime of just checks and balances that have just gone. It's gone out of family, it's gone out of education,
mm,
it's gone out of government, it's gone out of everywhere. So in my opinion, we must, as one, try to claw it all back
mm,
to give as many people as possible into the future the opportunity to see what's possible for them. Because
mm, mm,
yeah, all the physical things, the jobs and the what we look out at and the infrastructures and things are going to change. They are just going to change because they have for as long as I've been around. So why would it be any different? It
mm,
must, it's going to. It's that acceptance that things are going to be. It's acceptance of death, acceptance that we feel uncertain and we can ask for help. And then furthermore, we can learn from other people's, shall we say, mistakes
mm.
or actions,
Yeah,
because some people's actions are just magnificent and you want to replicate it everywhere because it's so beautiful,
yeah.
Other people's actions are not. And so you kind of really don't want them there. But yes, that it's so it's such a relief to be older.
Yeah. It's a funny conversation that we're having now, and that you should mention that because I've just been telling my daughters you don't want to grow up too fast.
Oh God, no.
So
I know,
it's
I know. And
it's a
see, there's another
paradox.
benchmark, like so. I don't know how there's it's been unsaid. It's been unsaid, but it was just an understanding I had from when I grew up that present giving was until you were 21 because that was the age of majority back in the day. So I've always had you get presents from your family and people who love you. I mean, other people will give you presents and shit, but that period of accepting that you are a child and we will continue to give you gifts unabated and with unsolicited and whatever is going to cease.
Yeah.
And so 21 is that benchmark for me. So, like over the years, there's been care parcels and packages and stuff arriving and this and that. And all crap probably goes to the op shop. I don't care.
Oh,
I
the kids
wanted
loved it.
it you know what I mean? I wanted it to come and I love to do it. And it was everything. But, somewhere things have to come to an end in
Yeah.
some cases.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, never mentioned it to any of the children. That when you're 21, it's all over at that point. Like
Well,
Grammy's
you
here,
just got
but
to.
you need to, it won't be as flowing as freely. So,
Perhaps the rules should flip and they should start sending care packs to you at
oh,
22 and onwards.
I'll leave that up to them for those decisions. But anyway, so what's interesting, I'm aware that so Gracie had her 21st last year, and this year's come and gone now. And I thought, you mean bitch. Although, when Caleb, I never even thought about it for Caleb because I'm used to dealing with how I feel about how boys will be at 21, right? So I didn't even give a thought to Caleb not getting anything for his 22nd birthday. It didn't
Oh
even
no,
occur to me.
that's all good. I wouldn't overthink. They're spoiled rotten, these kids. So
I know, and it's just how you think about shit, like how the yearning and the churning and the madness of
yes,
stuff.
yes,
Unless you bring it to a close in there and like really bring it to a close, it's just going to go on in the background. It flaps up every bloody August. Oh, the girl's birthday's next month.
yeah,
The
and maybe it.
inbox just starts opening. It's like, stop it.
Yeah, and if it goes on too long, there's a sort of a dependency or an entitlement that starts to form in the psyche that this is meant to happen, and therefore, if this person doesn't do it for me, they don't love me anymore.
Well, that's then you've got to ask yourself now, why would I think such a thing?
Yes,
And so
that's right.
that's their journey of self-discovery.
Yeah,
And if they were like me, they probably didn't think about it. It was like, I don't bloody want a president anyway, whatever. I never thought about stuff. I didn't feel
no,
entitled like that.
yes,
And this idea that, everyone's waiting. I've got people that are friends, like their whole relationships with their families the dynamics are changing because now the kids have got their eye on the assets, like, and they're just openly going to like a cabin if they have their way. Are you fucking kidding me? Really? Are you putting up with this? And so yeah, that's what their children are doing. But then children's children are they're, like, and this is just one or two families. So it's not the whole world or anything, but it just shows me how things have changed. So we've got they and them and all of this. We've got all these pronouns. Well, I don't, but they do. And everyone's very confused about what's going on. So we've got children wanting their money and their estates and everything that they've ever worked for. And then their grandchildren won't talk to them unless they call them, I don't know,
yeah,
Bambi or something. I don't know. But whatever it is.
yes.
And there's a lot of my age people feeling very confused. So I've got a great target market out there that I'm going to be working on. Well, because if you don't stand up for something, you're going to fall for anything. And they're going to be walking down the bank with all your stuff, like, oh my God.
Well,
Anyway,
it comes down to that disconnect, doesn't it? So, the guides or the mentors or whatever words we're going to use for them,
I'm using
I
the guy.
just, yeah, are just not as present in young people's lives because, um, they're caught up on their phones or technology and other things, so just not being exposed to the rituals and those people. So we've got this kind of, as you said, it's like a destructive spiral that's occurring in our society, and I haven't heard any good ways of managing it. It's almost like let's just light it up and use technology, develop AI, and see what happens. There's no real philosophical chats about what this is going to do to humanity.
I'm astonished at how they're just letting AI just run
Yeah, it's crazy.
wild.
Mm.
Um, I'm not going to, like, I don't understand it really. I think the thing that's going to slow it all down is the power, surely. They can't mine something that isn't there. And, and there'll be whole communities decimated, one would think, in the search for power to run this shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And
so
including existing communities. So my understanding of the power requirements of these things, which are being built now, more than what we currently use to power the human population. So
So
we've
it'll
got more
take
than, of
preference if it has a chance, won't it? It will take preference. It's
course.
like, so I
Well,
mean,
it's for me that, like the Skynet thing of Terminator or whatever, it will demand the power, but I think will give it the power because we're in an arms race now, and the government will just decide that power should be diverted to national security and these machines. And I think populations will have brownouts and blackouts because of it. And so the
You don't think
existing
that will happen in our community, surely, because they're not going to pull their finger out over anything, this mob.
So probably not in your local community, but certainly in the US where they're building these, they're trying to fast track nuclear reactors as power plants for these AI supercomputers. And they have modeled, they call it Stargate, but it will need to have the same amount of power, if not more, than what is currently being
Yeah.
used. Just to
So
just to,
there'll be a price to pay for that. And of course, people will pay that price. The,
mm,
like poor unfortunate people who happen to be where they want to run these things or have these things or
yeah, yeah,
test these things, and then with all the rare earths, we know that and I love my iPhone and I grapple every day, like these children mining lithium and all
mm,
these horrible things so that we can all have an iPhone,
mm,
Samsung, whatever it is, technology. It's just way out of whack. But at the same time, it's always been thus that that's how
mm,
it's been, there's been people who were, and possibly we all were, perhaps even many, many times over, in some dreadful life that that just served a purpose to get us to where we are now. It's not, I don't know. I don't know how I really reconcile it. I just go inward and then I'm the universe. So it doesn't, whatever's
yeah.
happening doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think the way I reconcile it is that every human, they don't get to choose per se, but you just got to make the most of what you've got, with what
Yeah.
you have. And so whether that's being a slave in, Roman Europe, and being forced and whipped and other things, you still try and make your life
Yeah. To be the
as
best
good as you can.
gladiator or the best
Yeah,
this,
you do
best
the
that.
best you can,
Yes.
given your circumstances. And if you can do that, I guess philosophically, you can be more at peace. You just eke out your existence. And yes, we've got tools and technology now, and we're living more comfortably currently in the West. But, they're just the tools that are available to us. We can't control how those tools are created or other things, but it is what it is.
They're in service to us. Yes.
Mm,
And the best we can do is honor them by using them well.
yeah.
For
That's right.
good, and that could include, sending the girls a recipe on my iPhone, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Or it could be that I'm now going to protest that Senator Nampajimpa Price is going to be marched to the courts or whatever and fined and, charged with whatever, so
Yes.
we can use it for whatever. And that's sort of how I go off into that quietude, is remembering that, just reminding myself, that that is the case. But and I'm training my mind. So can you imagine how people are who aren't even training them, aren't even aware that all these intrusive thoughts
Mm,
about, now we're not good enough because now we're using a phone, like I can overcome that with my prana and my practices. But if you're running on empty,
mm,
you can't recalibrate and recharge and redo all those things the same as someone who's had the benefit of my experience and what I've learned along the way, so.
mm,
But it is their journey. And I can remember being miserable as all get out at different times. And what do? You don't stay there. You acknowledge that you're feeling miserable, that it's
mm,
probably not the best day in your life, but you know what, you're going to pick yourself up and you're going to keep going.
mm. Yeah,
So if
absolutely.
if that's and really that's what you're looking for, a mentor or a guide to help you do. And how
Mm,
they do it is up to them, gently, harshly,
mm.
expectantly, whatever. And the
Yeah.
thing about, I thought on it earlier when you said it about the family structure was there. Yes, it was. And they did nudge, really. There wasn't a lot of harshness about how family helped guide you into adulthood. There would have been some lessons to learn, and perhaps dad had something to say to a boy that he might not have said, whatever, to a girl, and the mums might have said. But overall, what am I trying to say?
There was a relative consistency.
It was a relative consistency. And
Yeah.
so when all of that fell away and there was, it became kind of brutal,
Mm,
because now you've got people around you trying to form you and guide, or mentor you in this case, to do something they want you to do. Maybe you're going to work for someone. Well, you need to learn how to work for that person for them to pay you and then to continue to pay you. So they're
mm,
going to be guiding and nudging, but it can be very harsh
mm, mm.
way to learn, and if you're used to have been used to that family, well, it's built resilience in you, a resilience to know that, oh yeah, well, of course, yeah, yeah, I was a bit out of line there and I really needed that, like, so you can deal with things so much better. But some people go from absolutely no guidance, no expectation of their behaviors that they're going to be polite. I have to say, I took a moment to watch a few things on body cam they weren't just young people, they were old people too, but just body cam on some federal police. Oh, no, they weren't necessarily federal, in America, of course. And just all these kids, they're all just running off at the mouth. Oh my God. That was
Mm,
unheard of in my day.
mm.
I mean, we didn't do the yes sir, no sir thing, which some people do still do over there. That is still yes sir, no sir. But we were absolutely, even if we were in the bloody wrong, we were polite about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and humble and downcast eyes and
Mm,
showing some level of remorse. But there is none of that. There is just nothing going on in these people
mm,
that has, so what has their lives been like? What
mm.
kind of level of mentorship and whatever they had? Zero, zilch, and bloody
Yeah.
nothing.
Yes.
Are
So,
dragging themselves up in this world. How the hell do they do it? I don't know.
well, there's a lot of social security nets, and they get iPhones like everyone else, and they get to sit around watching Netflix on a government paycheck in a lot of cases. But that they're lacking in wisdom because they haven't had mentors, and so that's what puts them in front of police because they're bored. They're sitting on the couch and they find a reason to be excited about something without being
Well,
informed
they want to
about it.
experience it. They're no different to you. Want going out the back on your bike and charging around, making BMX tracks and stuff. Like yes, they all want to do things, but they either don't have the resources or they don't have the brain power. Can I
Yeah.
say the brain power?
Well, I think everyone has the potential of the brain power. It's that they're just so distracted by technology that,
But using the
just
brain at all.
the doom scrolling and all of these sort of things
No,
distracts them, and they can't form. And this is my observation of it. A lot of young people are finding it really hard to form what I would call long wave thought processes, where you get your mind into a slower rhythm and you get to think things through in a longer wavelength because these days with technology a phone can ring at any time, or you're checking the weather, or so your mind's jumping in all of these short wave, almost irrelevant topics, that it doesn't get to just sit and rest into the long wave because of the technology. And so yeah, this generation that's coming through, and I know every generation's different, and probably in the 60s and 70s they were, complaining about rock music and how loud and obnoxious it was and all that sort of stuff. But so this is just
this
the
is
this
this
is
is
the
being
next
significant.
iteration of it. Mm,
Yeah, and there's a whole new level happening now. Yeah, yeah,
mm,
there's still that societal and normal growth and physiological change and thing going on. But there's a whole nother level now that didn't exist in any form of anything in
mm,
mine or yours or even Daniel's, like the AI. Perhaps it was starting in Daniel's time. There was
mm.
forms of it, I suppose. I don't know really how long ago it started, probably a lot longer than I thought. It feels like it's about a 5 year thing, but it won't have been. They've been
It's
working.
not even that, Mum. Yeah, it's already embedded itself in our lives.
Yes.
but that's fairly rapid. It's, only been available to consumers for the last year or so, at the most. So,
Yeah, but I can
it
remember
is,
just even on Facebook about 5 years ago, I did an avatar. Now I know that, so at the time that felt like it was AI,
mm,
right? In
mm,
my mind, that sort of felt like that was a part
yeah,
of what would later become what it's becoming, but that
yeah,
was sort of the beginning.
yeah,
And so there were little beginning things in my mind now, but they've just been taken for granted because that's all that the children of kids today have known. They haven't
yes,
known anything that went before that. So many things have come in my lifetime. Like bloody everything. And all these old people in your life, it's been the same for us all, So how fortunate were we?
yeah,
It's a lot to retain. There's a lot to keep in there, like right back to MS-DOS and the whole lot. Jeez, it's tough. And
yeah,
so we want to get rid of a lot of that stuff. We don't want to be carrying all that empty baggage around anymore.
yeah,
To gain some skills to drop that and all the other insignificant things is
yeah,
really important.
yeah, absolutely.
Mentors and guides help because they help take away the uncertainty by knowing that you've got someone in your camp.
Mm,
What I was really getting to was, yes, it was the family infrastructure gave the love. When that dropped away, it became whoever thought enough of you to say anything, really, whether good, bad,
mm,
or different, because people aren't inclined to say very much, I've noticed.
mm,
And if they do, is anyway,
yeah.
it's hard to stomach some of it.
Mm. So,
Eat them. Sorry.
yeah, no, no, it is hard. And I guess one of the things as we progress through childhood, and we've talked about these rituals or rites of passage, kind of to tie it all together, I think if you can achieve it, every young person at a certain age, let's say it's, a teen through those teenage times, I think the best kind of way of giving them an opportunity to, uh, find that thing that will motivate them or that they're passionate about is to give them exposure to mentors that have a skill set. And so it's that opportunity isn't necessarily being presented as well as it used to. Yes, we've got things like sports on weekends, so people can go and play soccer and they can meet a coach, and maybe that's a bit of a mentor, or they meet someone else in a team that's better at them than and so they can learn from sports, and so sports become quite a important function in our current society of opening up mentors to young people. And martial arts is another example of that. Um, so, but I think if we can, be conscious of the fact that young people do need exposure to mentors, and then the young people under ideal circumstances can, if you were to just boil it down and they're looking at a line of mentors in front of them or guides, who might be everything from an uncle through to a police officer that's kicked them up the arse for doing something wrong to their school teacher and parent. So you've got a line of all of these people, and they all have their certain capabilities or skills that they can pass on. And the child, if you can give them some exposure to all of those things, the child will naturally gravitate towards what they identify with as well. And I think where we're kind of falling over is a lot of kids are choosing not to do sport these days. They're kind of coming home, they're sitting on the couch, they're doing their video gaming and other things. And so that ability to see the guides in front of you for who they are, and the opportunities that they represent are just not even talked about really. Um,
In the coaches that they could be under the influence of and that type of thing. Is that what you mean? The
yeah, that's
people that are
right.
out there in the outer world, yes.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
It's one
So
thing to be in the inner world, but that when I refer to that, I mean not
yes,
inside watching games as opposed to outside playing games or
yes,
being
yeah.
outside ourselves looking for happiness or something.
Yeah,
Yes, it makes it very hard, doesn't it? And it makes me hugely compassionate for young people.
mm,
I see you know, they're struggling in so many ways. They're struggling, and I really don't want to start kind of imagining that, or categorizing people.
Mm,
But you can only deal with something to the ability of your consciousness to be able to uh, accept it, or at least to attempt to understand what it is going on. So,
mm,
yeah.
mm. Yeah.
I think sometimes it's more about what isn't being asked. Like I don't hear people asking really, well, not important questions, because every question is important, but
The
it doesn't
right
seem to
question.
be any intellectual inquiry about very much.
Yeah.
Because as you're pushing the pram along and you're holding your phone here and your kid's gooing and garring and whatever at you, but you don't not even seeing the child because you've got
Mm.
your phone here between you and the child. I mean, can you imagine the separation anxiety that these children are going through from like birth?
Yes, and the wonder and interest that they would now have on that black device that the
Oh,
parents
it's
carrying
like that
around.
takes my mother, my father, my everyone I've ever known, and whoever thinks that they love me away from me. Like that thing, I want to kill it.
Yeah,
You
or
know,
I want one,
or I
and so
want one. Yeah,
and
well, yeah,
they
if you can't beat them, you want, of course you
yeah.
do. That's why they make pink plastic ones now that you see them going like this, they're stabbing at the thing. Jesus.
I know, yeah,
It's a
and
sad world, so when I sort of look out there and I, I mean, if we've got 100 people in our street at any given time, like that's just huge. And the other day when we had the earthquake, apparently I was away on a yoga retreat, but there was an earthquake here, and this has no relevance to anything we're talking about.
all right, it grounds it in time. Was it a big one? I think it was a six or something, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I think it was.
Yeah.
I felt the energy shift, but I was already in the universe. So but all the trains stopped. So all the northbound trains, going to Canberra,
Right.
they stopped it here at the station apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, Tony walked out and he had no idea. He saw everything moving in his shed and thought, what the hell is going on? And about 10 minutes later, thought, oh, he'd go and get himself a coffee at the shop or something. And he came out and there was like 150, 200 people in the street all milling around waiting for the train to take them to
I
Cairns,
see.
wherever they were going to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but that's what I was mentioning that for was in relevance to having anyone to influence. There's bloody no one here to influence. And he managed to, though. He found someone who came from New Guinea. Oh my God! So they were talking pidgin apparently, but so that was meant to be. But
Interesting.
we
Yeah.
don't get much opportunity to influence here.
Yeah, well, I mean, you do in this way. So, I guess it's one of the benefits of us having this technology and using the tools in a positive way. And I it makes me feel better to use
Well,
these
you and
sort of
I love
tools.
it because it's good for
Yeah,
our ego. We're talking to each other. We can see each other.
exactly.
Like we're indulging in each other and loving each other. Of course, we're going to be, but I can't imagine anyone else really wanted to watch it.
I'm getting some I'm getting some great feedback, Mum. And yeah, I think
I was absolutely shocked to see it after the last one. I nearly died when I saw you put it up there. I thought, do I even get a chance to
fantastic.
have a look at it before? And apparently not. So I figured you were going to get it right the first time, or
Yeah, that's it. That's how I roll. So,
yeah, and that's okay. I mean, I think you did blur out a few odd Fs along the way or something, but that's okay.
oh, that's all right. I don't mind the odd expletive. It keeps it interesting along the way. But no, I like this long form type of chat, and I think there's people that will get something out of these chats. And I guess even if it's not right now, there's an archive. And
Well,
what?
I mean, I could
Yep.
understand that, possibly the grandchildren might want to know after I'm dead
Yeah,
what Grammy
absolutely.
thought. So, that's why I'm doing it, is I'm not doing it for the wider universe. I know who I am, and you will know better who I am, and so will the children. But beyond that, I can't imagine. Um, seriously.
Well, you know what? Our conversation is beamed to the stars. It can't be erased. It's now in the cloud. Because if you think about it, yes, this data that's sitting on our phones and on servers and everything could be deleted easily. But the wavelengths that our communications are being sent in uh, from my dish, from my roof, going into the cosmos, and they can't be stopped. And they're heading out at the speed of light. So they're in the ether. And I
Well,
find
when
that
they emanate um, from your Kundalini going up, we'll really be on the right wavelength together.
yeah.
So we are both in consciousness together, darling. Wow.
We yeah, we sure are, and it's there forever. Yeah. So a very interesting concept because all they would have to do is send a probe out far enough, and it can sit there and listen to our conversations, and they are there forever. So that's just quite amazing.
Oh, well, I mean, imagine anyone in the future wanting to listen to drivel that I'm
I
espousing,
reckon.
but you
I
know,
reckon
it's
people will be fascinated with this time of human existence one day. I think people will be very fascinated in the transition that we're about to go through and what was the human experience during that time. Because we are headed for huge change, like you've said. It's huge.
it really is. It
Mm,
really, really is. And the more I understand, the more capacity I have to understand even more. And so the levels grow. Um, and for in relation to your fourth dimension, like I was intrigued because this is how I learned about my grandson too. So whilst yes, ultimately other people might learn something or grandkids might learn something about me, and that's fine. In the meantime, I get to learn about my grandson, and I get to see now and again my old mate, who
yep.
has a few stories that I can remember and a few that I've not heard, and it's funny, and it's a joyous sort of a thing. I have
Yes.
to say no one will ever get this hour back, and so you wonder, in a busy world, who could be bothered? But for those of us that have the time, yeah, I can't sit there and watch them all day every day, but I don't mind having 20 minutes here and there on a video to watch your dad there.
Yeah.
But there are other people with infinitely, like, so much to offer. Who are you
Absolutely.
talking to? Who's on your list?
Well, I'd like to share that with you one day, because there are people that I'm really keen to talk to. But this for me is also a project where I'm building experience
Of
and
course, yes, I
training my
understand.
my conversation muscle. And one day when I, am feeling ready, I'd be keen to talk to people that are keen to talk to me. But in the meantime, I think forming this archive of the human
Yeah.
experience with a group of people that I love and trust is equally as important, and not for commercial reasons, but for other reasons that will become apparent in the future, I think.
Yeah, well, like, I don't have to have everything laid out for me. It is what it is. Like, I
Mm.
know that I'm here and it'll be whatever it is, and that's okay. I don't sort of mean that. And I don't need to know who indeed you individuals you want to talk to. But it's probably more the subject matter that about where you're going. What is it? Just a broad brush, or are you actually trying to hone in along the way to something, or you just
Yeah,
stuck in
interesting
your
question.
seeing?
Interesting question. So, I guess at the moment it's about alignment. So I've talked in some other videos about or conversations about how we've lost our state as a species. The state of existence that humans are in a lot of places is not great. And so I don't mean that in terms of our borders or anything like that, just the human condition. But one of the key parts to the human condition that I feel uh, is important in building a foundation for any future project is alignment with others. And so alignment doesn't necessarily need to be about a topic per se. It can be about the human experience. And so I guess getting to understand other people, and sharing that, so that other people can feel like, they aren't going crazy, that, there's real people out there having conversations about these very challenging subjects. I guess in the initial phases, creates an alignment amongst those that listen. And then, I'm really keen to explore the other key points of a structure that will see humanity, or the people that adopt the structure, in a far better uh, way, in that we can focus on what's important. And I guess the three things that are important in the initial stages of any human's existence are food, water, and shelter. So if we can talk about that, and Roland and I are currently in that sort of part or evolution stage of our conversation where we're talking about those three fundamentals. So once you can get them sorted out, and take the anxiety away from it and have an informed kind of view of things, you'll know it's almost like a radical acceptance of where you are in the world when you understand what your food, water, and shelter resources are. Then from there, you build on that structure, and you start to look at your identity and what you can create, how you love, and those things come together with alignment, because food, water, and shelter are the basics that every human needs. But really, if you're going to have identity, love, and creation, you need to have other human beings in your sphere, within your orbits, I call it. And so the only way to have others orbit is to have alignment. So it's kind of like a gradual process of working this out, this complex tapestry with other people, and understanding what are the basics that they need. And then once you have the basics in place, how do you build a structure around that that's resilient over time to the challenges that we face in the future? So it's kind of like a indirect way of developing psychological self-defense.
Okay.
So I've sent you a photo. If you just have a look on your messenger chat, you'll see a photos come through on there.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so if you open up that photo.
Sacred geometry, yeah.
All right. So I guess this is an opportunity for me to explain the logo of the fourth dimension. So you can see there, if you hold it up to your camera just for a second, just towards me. Yep. So that's it. Okay, if you look back at it there, you'll see that you've got an evolution of what I started with self-defense, which was Shugyo, which in 2 dimensions is the Japanese mon, but it's only one face of a cube. So you can see the cube has 6 faces, obviously, but there's nesting cubes that have all come together in what's called a tesseract.
Yep.
Now, each cube is kind of like a person, let's say. People are a lot more complicated than each one of those smaller cubes that makes up the larger one. But you can see that the smaller cubes identify with different forces that actually affect, your human existence. So whether it's mathematics, whether it's finance, whether it's the moon phases or other things, there's a combination of forces that essentially affect our day-to-day existence. And so humans, if they find alignment, can nest. It doesn't mean we're all the same. It means that we nest and we understand the forces that are at work. And others are coming in from the outside. You can see there's like a dice in the distance. So that's another force coming in, and artificial intelligence is one of the faces on that, which is the QR code that you might see. And so it's a way of expressing how humans geometrically, just like in physics, humans have clusters, they have constellations, and they orbit each other. and with good alignment, they can achieve great results. And anything is possible.
Is this a mathematical equation I'm looking at?
Well, there's mathematical equations built into it, but the top face there you can see is an at symbol,
Yeah.
and then you've got a plus symbol above that. So at the, and then you've
Fourth
got a
dimension.
4
Yeah,
and
yeah.
D.
I get
So so that's at the fourth dimension is what's currently showing on that particular face of the nesting cubes. But there's obviously other dimensions that we can talk about.
Did you generate this image?
Yes. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
With AI.
Well, a combination
Storyboard
of,
it is your,
so I
yeah.
use it, yeah. So AI can do the basic graphics, and then I did the coding essentially. But it's got a ability to quickly draw up schematics and other things that you put inputs in for. So AI is a great tool, but it couldn't create something that complex for me. Unless you pay for a very significant package like media organizations and government contracts and all of that sort of stuff have with AI. As a consumer, a general, whatever they call it, subscription, it will not generate something that complex like I've sent you or that I use as my logo. But you can see I've also incorporated 2 dimensions on the front there, which is a QR code that sends people off to the fourth dimension YouTube channel. So
Yeah, nice. I recognize that. Yeah.
yeah, so you can literally just send that image to people, and it can spread the word on the channel.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So this is something, a tool I can use to promote your channel.
Yes, Mum. Yeah, absolutely. And I only just created that over the last few days. So that's why I thought I'd send it to you for our chat.
Right. And if I
Yeah.
just tap it, it'll take me there.
Oh, yeah. So if you use another phone, unless your phone's automatically picking up on the QR code, it might take you there. But
If I tap the QR code, it would go
if,
there.
if there's a yellow light over it, so if it's recognizing it, it should bring it up. Have a go. Just hold on to it. Where the QR code is. Does it say it wants to take you somewhere?
No.
Okay. So what you would do is you just get another phone and you'd hold it over that QR code and it will see the QR code.
Yeah, right.
Does that make sense? So
Well,
you
it does, but I don't have 2 phones to.
yeah.
It's okay. I can go to it in so
Well,
many other mediums. It's all right. I don't need that. I just was curious.
yeah. So the other way you could do it is open the messenger that I sent you the photo on your computer, and then just use your phone to look at the QR code that way. That's another way.
Right. Let
Yeah.
me tell you, since I got a new phone a couple of weeks ago. Oh my God. So everything is fine, but I realized I don't have Zoom on this morning because I thought, oh, that's right. I said to Rory I could probably do the blah, blah, blah and use my phone. And then I remembered in the meantime, I've got a new phone and I haven't actually activated all that it can do because I didn't realize I didn't have half the stuff on there.
I always loathe that changing of phones time when it comes around, because
It's just
transitioning
awful.
information and
It took me about 10 days to realize I didn't have Messenger. Like, where's Messenger gone? I didn't even really know that I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't even recognize
yes.
I didn't have it because it was irrelevant to all else that's going on for me. But anyway, I've got it now. But I do realize, as I thought when you sent me the link on your phone, on the phone, I thought, hmm, I really should use my phone. And then I thought, oh, so where's my little stand?
Oh, like
The stand you
yeah,
put your phone on, right? This
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
And I couldn't think. And by then it was 10 to 9. And I said, oh, geez, what time? So anyway, I'm sitting here and then I saw it poking out from a little corner. I grabbed it and I went, stuck my phone in it and I went, oh, I don't have Zoom. And so it didn't matter which avenue I went down, I wasn't using Zoom on my phone today. So if you just remember that you're sending it to my email, everything will be good.
Yep, will do,
If
Mum.
we can ever come up with another topic. I don't know. Have we wrapped up? What are we doing? Are we done?
Yeah, well, I think next time we'll broach into some of those discussions around ritual and other things, because that's probably going to be, when we're talking mentors. I'm really keen to kind of explore the space where particularly with the security situation around the world, and Europe's mobilizing at the moment. So, there's going to be conscription in European countries and eventually in the West. But I guess this whole idea of rituals and rites of passage, and maybe, unfortunately, with the apathy that's crept into society and the breakdown of Western economics, etc., we're going to be compelled to enter a phase of austerity. And unfortunately, it will be because of wars and other things. But on the upside, I think that our younger generations are going to be put into the military, into some sort of service, or mobilized into some sort of industrial capacity. And I guess that the adversity of that process is a ritual in itself, in that you do have everything taken away from you, and you're built from the ground up again, and you're given experiences that will make you more resilient, and obviously you put into good routines and taught discipline with that sort of thing. So maybe the conversation next time can evolve into that, because I think a lot of people get very anxious about the future, not knowing what it holds. But the sooner we can start to have conversations about that sort of thing, it might take a bit of anxiety out of their sails, and it might give them something to look forward to. As much as war is not good, and it's out of our control, and others may bring it to us. So if we can accept that, there's now an opportunity to be better prepared, and potentially young people may kind of be more likely to be ready for service than they currently are. And that's a kind of a conversation that I'd like to have, even though they're not yet ready.
I wish you were having it with the Prime Minister instead.
Mm,
I mean, it seems intolerable to me that these people represent our country. I just can't dwell on it,
yeah.
because I'll go insane. I have to go and do yoga again.
Mm,
Always doing yoga.
mm,
They have undermined absolutely everything that the vast majority of this country have come to understand was the way it was going to be. I
mm.
don't know if you've seen it, but there's a person by the name of CJ, a woman, I believe, Poth, who has um, a YouTube channel, and I came upon a one of one of the clips was called "Fall of Nations." Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. No. Please send me the link after the chat.
Interesting. But I was sort of running around going in ever diminishing circles looking to see who this person was, because I don't like sharing things if I can't ascertain who they actually are. And
Mm,
I mean,
yeah.
and I'm not sure I've come to the end of it, but there's nothing so terribly diabolically not able to be understood, that I was amazed, and I thought, oh, it sounds like it's happening just now, but it's actually 3 or 4 months old. Anyway, I'll just preface it by saying it's absolute bloody gloom and doom well, not gloom and doom, but the way in which Australia, Canada, and the UK in particular have completely lost sight of the wider goal that
Mm,
was there for its citizens, all their citizens, up until very recently, obviously.
yes. Yep.
Um, Absolutely shocking. And also, this person also, I got my brother to verify one that talks about Siberia and the absolute collapse of much of Russia because of the permafrost.
Mm,
And I said, look, is this really real? Because my sister-in-law is in Russia at the moment. She's been traveling all over Russia. And I said, can you add any credence to this? Because I don't want to start sharing it anywhere. And he said, it's absolutely true.
mm,
Absolutely true. So there's whole cities and everything, because the permafrost is thawing. They're collapsing into themselves. This whole
mm,
infrastructure is just, I mean, they were poor infrastructure in many cases anyway. But so I will send you this one about all of nations, but in it, it's very true what they're talking, what is being said about, in my opinion, about Australia, Canada, and the UK. but they were making reference to the way in which America was running itself too, and all the problems attached to that. And I was
Mm,
so delighted to be able to think in my mind, well, actually, all that's changed in the time that it's taken for me to find this video.
mm,
Um, and so America, from my perspective, looks like it's got a bloody, well, it's got a free pass because all the trouble's going to be felt in our countries and other Western countries. They've actually
mm.
decided to, I think, with Trump's leadership, have decided to stop this bloody manic mess if they can. I mean, they're going to build on it too and do AI and all that stuff.
Mm,
But
mm.
I mean, it was such a terrible, terrible situation that the country had been left in. I don't know if you know much about it or anything.
Yeah, yeah, I have been
It's
following.
absolutely diabolical. And
Yeah.
so, and the deep state and the absolute depth of corruption and conspiracies that were indeed, and I know everyone was going, oh, Donald Trump, it doesn't matter. I don't give a rat's about that stuff.
Mm,
No one gave a shit about any of it while the other mob were in. And what a
yeah,
debacle it was. What a debacle in hindsight. Oh my God.
yeah. It's
Many of us
such a
knew it
mess.
anyway. Many of us knew it anyway. But now, as it's being verified,
Mm,
um, I can't believe that. Anyway, it's a good
yeah.
job that they're there. And I just feel very confident and much better about things because they are. Can you
Mm,
imagine if it was the other mob? Oh my God. Can you?
mm. Well, I guess I'm a little bit more pessimistic.
I know you are, and that's
But
okay.
that's okay as well.
It is.
But I would say it's, I don't know. I think we are going to war with the current trajectory of events in the West, and there's a huge number of warships building up outside of Venezuela at the moment,
Yeah, yeah.
and in the South China Sea. So I think, unfortunately, we're headed for war, but it doesn't. In some ways, if you can accept that, it changes everything. It unencumbers you to be, have more agency as you go into the future. Because if you kind of uh, um, sit on the fence, or wait for something to happen and say, oh, look, it's all good for now, and we'll just get through another year. If you keep doing that, you're never going to be prepared for when things change. And so there's a lot of freedom that comes with understanding what's on the horizon, because it gives you more agency to be ready. And I guess that's people that may listen to this. I hope I'm not scaring people by talking about that as the current likelihood, but uh, it's something that should be discussed, and the more it's discussed, the less sensitive people will be towards it. And hopefully, it's actually a pivoting point for Australia to not necessarily be on the side of one or the other, and to establish ourselves as an independent nation that chooses its own direction in the future. That's the conversation that needs to be kind of had at the grassroots level, and it takes time to percolate and become, mainstream conversation. But I guess that's something that I'm keen to foster.
Well, yes. I mean, there's still much to look forward to, I believe, and
Mm,
it perhaps sounds a bit hollow to young ears, who can find all sorts of reasons why it isn't.
mm,
Um, and that's okay. I have the energy to help them see there's much greater stuff available to them if they just choose to focus on that.
mm,
But there's also got to be a willingness, and there's not a lot of willingness on the part of a lot of young people they're going to premise everything, well, you've fucked it up so far, so why should I listen to you? I mean, they take that broad spectrum approach, I believe.
mm,
Not all of them, of course, not all of them, but they're already engaged thinking people. The ones
mm.
that aren't necessarily thinking that have got good, solid ideas that they're prepared to consider.
Yeah,
But many just think because they've heard it said that our generation, and even perhaps some before us and some that followed us, my generation, have, cocked it up everywhere. And you can all just go to hell, and we're not listening to anything you've got to say, because they don't value what we have to say. There's no respect for that. Like and I'm broad brushing this because I know that of course, there are people who do have respect, but they're already on the right track because they've already got their mind in the right place. They accept that respect needs to be offered, service needs to be done, things need to happen, so they're already on the way because they're thinking. It's
Mm,
the not thinking ones that I get concerned about, because they're the ones that are shooting off at the mouth everywhere with nothing to base it on, no experience, no well, you can only really get wise when you have experiences, right? You can't get
yes. Yep.
wise from not having experiences. You have
Correct.
to actually do them. You can get wise from listening to how other people did it, and that's a very smart way to learn. And I wished I'd taken that on board in earlier lives. But it's just there's got to be a willingness, and I don't see. I mean, they're flat out trying to do anything. They're not willing. They're
Yeah.
just bloody willing. And
So,
that's something. They're not self-motivated. I mean, those that are anyway, like they've done the grades, they've done the work, they know they've got to get out there and make it happen. So they're already doing it. And we don't need to worry about those young people.
mm,
They are forging their way in the world, like our Grace, like
yep.
Caleb, they might be off to a bit of a slow start at times. All of that is absolutely normal. No one has any problem. It's the ones that actually can't put a thought together.
Mm, mm.
And I know we talked about it earlier, and we're just going over the same old things, and I don't want to.
No, it's really pertinent, Mum. I think if I call it agency in the situation. Everyone has agency. Some choose to use it, some choose not to use it, and I guess one of the most destabilizing things as we enter this period of austerity will be the people that need others, that haven't planned, that don't have formulated thoughts in their mind. They're going to be the first to fracture and want to cause chaos if there's food or whatever, petrol rationing and other things that will come with this. So I guess part of it's about self-interest. The more people that are not anxious and have prepared their mind psychologically for things that might happen, are less likely to be a problem.
Yeah,
So the panic that will ensue if someone has gone from sitting on a couch for the last 18 years playing Diablo or whatever bloody video games, and to a situation where there's no power, food, and no information, no internet, is going to be a very significant change. So that's something that we can talk about in the next one, though. It's because I think what it takes is a continuation of this chat about guides and mentors and rituals.
so that's okay as long as you're managing the conversation, because I just haven't enjoyed it, and I'm just giving you the benefit of whatever's going on in my head at the time.
That's great.
And and if I'm going off track, then it's your job to bring me back, because
No,
I want to always know that I've gone off track.
no, it's been a great chat, Mum, and I look
But
forward to our next
listen,
one.
I'd like to talk to you, not on video and not on anything, just have a chat about how it's all going and what's happening. And I got your invite, but I'm a bit confused, so I don't want to raise all that here, but we need to talk anyway.
Excellent. We'll do that. All right.
So
Well, I'll
let's
give
do
you.
that this weekend, please, so I can
Yes.
sort that out. All
Yes,
right,
Mum.
Dylan.
All right.
Just
Love
stay up
you.
after you, my son. Bye now.
Great chat. Bye bye.